usually if it's just one, if the dose is like concentrated enough to be just one vial instead of two like this, I'll just use these syringes that come with it. It'd be a little bit tricky to swap them when there's two, and I've got a bleed in my elbow, so save that hassle. Just use a different syringe. Since the last time I did one of these videos of giving myself a shot, I was in a study for different clotting factors, or for a clotting factor, where they basically gave me a dose of, not this Eloctate, but Advait. Did blood draws every couple hours, and then every 4 hours, and then slowly down to 8 hours, and then after a couple days, and yada yada yada. And then I went in, they did a dose of the trial drug, and I was in the high dose cohort. So they injected this dose over like a 10-minute span, which, yeah, I guess is probably how I should be doing even these, but I mean, who actually, anyway. They did that, and then I think it was 2 hours later they did a blood draw, then another 2 hours, and then another 2 hours, and then 4 hours, I think it was, and again, kind of like the first one, where it was every couple hours, and then it went to like every 8 hours for a day or two. Then it went to twice a day, and they actually sent somebody to my work to come and draw my blood, and then somebody to my house to draw it at night, and they had a courier waiting up front to grab it and take it to be analyzed and tested and all that stuff, to basically monitor the clotting levels and see how long the stuff lasts. Even after the 1 week where they had done the trial testing and stuff, I decided I wanted to see how far I could push it, and decided not to treat until I felt some bleeding, and not, you know, not just the first sign, but allow it to, even if there was a minor bleed, to stop that bleeding and let myself heal. And I went, what was it, 2.5 weeks until I had a noticeable bleed that I needed to treat. I thought that was amazing. But the doctor, I apologize, I forget her name, that was heading up the study, or at least the liaison with the pharmaceutical company in Michigan State University, seemed rather unimpressed by that. But also asked me if I would be interested in future studies of even longer acting drugs, because basically there's a race right now in hemophilia pharmaceuticals to see who can make the longest acting drug, which is kind of interesting, seeing as how they're working to make medicines that make you require less medicine. But that's kind of the way that market's heading. And she said that the one I had was just like a stepping stone like a midpoint while they're working on an even longer acting version. And asked me if I'd be interested in future trials, and ultimately that led to me starting qualifications and everything to get ready for gene therapy. Sorry, I need a little bit of time to think here. Roll on me. There you go. And of course, when you know, they talk about gene therapy, I was very intrigued, but also, you know, concerned, because you think, well, you know, they're playing around with my genetic code, which, okay, yes, is flawed. It's the whole reason we have this disability, but, you know, it's not that bad, and I don't want it to be something terrible, you know, in case this all goes wrong. So I did some research on it, which I'm sure most hemophiliacs have at this point. I've probably done less than most at this point, because when I was younger, I wrote a lot of papers on the genetics of it and stuff like that, and the local HTC actually used some of the papers I wrote as explanations for families and parents and siblings and stuff of hemophiliac when a new one entered the family, when he was born or adopted or whatever. So, you know, I'd done all of that, and, you know, these years I've been pretty thankful for this Eloctate, where, you know, I'm down to 1 shot a week, or longer if I get lazy, which I did at this, yeah. And I get only minor bleedings instead of, you know, being completely crippled after 3 days. And mind you, if you're a parent of a hemophiliac and stuff, please note that my body is in terrible shape after years of abuse. Spent a little bit too long trying to be a machinist and trying to hold on as a machinist until I could get into programming the automated equipment that we built at that company. And I was foolish enough to ignore my body and ignore my pain, push through it, but unfortunately you can't just push through internal bleeding and keep walking on horribly swollen ankles. It just deteriorates everything. So please don't think that if your child misses a shot, they'll be in horrible pain. I realized what I said, and I don't want you to think that that's the norm. That's just because I was foolish. You know, these medicines nowadays, like I had started saying, I am so thankful. I remember there was a period where they were trying to come out with some new clotting factors and had made some mistakes. The old stuff was out of production, the new stuff wasn't ready. And it would take 5 or 6 boxes of fairly low dose stuff, because that was all that was left per shot. I was doing, you know, 25, 30 cc injections, And now, you know, even when I can't get it all in one box, which for somebody that's 7 foot tall and well over 200 pounds, that's a lot of units required. It's over 5,000 units my body requires, and these things are only 3 milliliters. That's 6 cc's total between these two packages, and that's still enough to get 5,000 units of clotting factor into my body. And not only that, that 6 cc's is enough to last for well over a week without an issue with the condition my body's in. Yeah. So I guess that was it for the shot. Sorry for the ramblings. Maybe not. I don't know.